quiet mode, please.
All right, guys. I think we all know anybody that was in Reno last year for our game. I think the game was a root game. So anybody that saw the game last year in Reno realizes, what a challenge this is. Decisively beat us last year up there. I think it was 35-17. When you look at the statistics, the score is probably really not indicative of how badly they beat us. They had over 500 and some yards. We had about 280 yards. We really couldn't run the ball. Gip had one big run, I believe. They did run the ball, had two running backs, both at over 140 yards, I think, if I remember correctly. So they dominated us. We got a break. Nice. Martin picked up a ball and ran it back about 75 yards for a touchdown. We put Austin Apodaca in the game late. Kind of surprised them a little bit with some tempo stuff and some RPO stuff. Moved the ball just for a little flurry there, but it was more because of we surprised them, to be quite honest. So soundly beaten last year in Reno. And we're playing a team that's coming off an open date. Offensively, really everybody back. You look their center, their two tackles, their tight end, all their receivers, their running back number 20, who is really a very, very good player. And then their quarterback, was injured against Wyoming, went down, fell on, had a shoulder injury, out for the season. But, kind of reading between the lines and listening to the comments, I think they're actually more excited about the junior college quarterback that came in and played for them, number 6. He ended up having 300 yards passing against Wyoming and really started out as the quarterback that they felt was more athletic and used him a little bit more in the role as a runner earlier in the season. So offensively, everybody's back, from a team that had over 500 yards. And quite frankly, it wasn't a case last year of just giving up the big play, which sometimes can skew the statistics. It was a case of, I think both running backs averaged about 7 yards a carry. I mean, it was just a beatdown. Their punter's back, their kicker's back. Defensively, their entire secondary, their 4 starting defensive backs are back. They do have a new, or I should say different, front 7. But pretty impressive, particularly the way they rush the passer. They're down 4. So again, this is a big challenge for us to see if we certainly can match up better than we did last year and ultimately play better than we did last year. So that game is still very fresh, very vivid in my memory and in our team's memory. So again, it's a home game. It's a late game at night. Health-wise, Chris Lewis, our offensive guard, went out against Hawaii early. I doubt that he plays. We're a little bit thin there, as you all know. We do, I think, get I.B. Brown back. He didn't play against Hawaii. He did make the trip. Kimmy Carson will be back. So really, Chris Lewis is the one right now that's a major concern, particularly how they really dominated us on both sides of the line of scrimmage last year, if we are brutally honest. So it's a big week for us. It's a big week. And, certainly the same guys that played last year for them are back. They're a very experienced team, except for their front 7 on defense. So, Rick, with that, we'll start it off here.
At least 3 times tonight, I can think of Lee Crosby's made big plays and then done something not so good at the end. How do you control his enthusiasm?
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point, and I think that's you never give up, and you're relentless, and you try to identify things immediately when they happen. You know, we talk so much about, you've heard me use the term E plus R equals O. You know, the event happens. There's going to be an outcome. Your response is the thing that you control. And a football game is really a whole series of E's or events. And there'll be an outcome. How do you respond to each event? And Lee has, done some things that I know he's not proud of. When he has time to stop and think after it happens, he realizes he put the whole football team in a very vulnerable situation. But you keep battling and you keep pecking away. You know, they're young guys with a lot of emotion, have a lot invested. I don't think he's ever meant to be malicious with it. I don't think he's ever meant to really just be selfish with it. But it certainly comes across that way because it's been repeated. But we just continue in all areas to keep trying to teach guys life lessons, you know, and that balance. But we never give up on them. We keep trying to get our message across, and at times it's frustrating, but all in all, there's a lot more positives than there are negatives.
What'd you say to him after that flip?
I said, have you lost your mind? No, seriously. I mean, it sounds funny now. I said, have you completely lost your mind? I said, do you realize what you just did? And it was immediate. You know, I met him down there to probably about the 20-yard line, and I wasn't alone. You know, it was coaches, it was players, it's everybody. You know, but it's another thing, after it happens, everybody realizes it was a mistake. You have to be able at that moment when it actually happens, real time and real speed, to be able to take a deep breath and say, okay, here's what just happened. How am I going to react? Because there's going to be an outcome. And again, I love his enthusiasm. I really do, and I love his demeanor, how he plays the game. It's just he has to get better.
Coach, as you walk off the field, glance at the scoreboard, realization setting in, man, that's a victory. You're by yourself or with your team. What was what was the feeling?
Well, it was about 1:30 in the morning Albuquerque time, and we had to get from Honolulu back to Albuquerque. But, it was definitely a feeling of we're in a position to continue to get better down the stretch, which sounds like coach talk, but I don't take that for granted. Particularly what happened early in the season in Las Cruces. To a degree at Rutgers, even to a bigger degree the first half against Boise, to be able to stay steady in the boat and recover from some of those early season punches to the gut proves that we have something established that's bigger than just one game or one season, that there's some resiliency and there's some opportunity to get better. So there's always a little bit of big picture. What does this mean? And, that's probably what I was feeling. But again, there were some things that happened in the game that shouldn't happen, and you're into a correction mode pretty quickly. And you realize that to give yourself a chance to win another one, you have to improve. But the biggest thing to me is we are in a position in November that we potentially can play our best football because of the attitude of our team, the chemistry of our team, and the resiliency, and able to bounce back from a season where there were expectations and take those early season blows and recover and still be, we were a little wobbly early, but we're a little more secure right now, and we have a chance. We have a shot.
Bring it out on your way home by yourself in the car on the freeway. Did you let out a scream like Tarzan?
Well, I didn't get in that car and get on that freeway till about 8 o'clock Sunday night because, we flew in here, we landed at 9:30 and came straight to the office. And, so it was a while till I got on my own in that car. No, it's not. It's never quite as good as it seems, Henry, and it's never quite as bad as it seems, right? So somewhere in the middle is how you, I think most people that go one way or the other end up kind of burning out, right? It's never as good as it seems and never as bad as it seems.
Coach, it seems like ever since that Air Force game, the defense, when they need to make a stop, they can do it. And it's just, I don't know, it just seems different now.
I think so. I hope so. I hope so. I've used the word rhythm. Sometimes you only think of that as offensively, but certainly defensively, that stretch there of San Jose Air Force, actually San Jose Boise Air Force, we were totally out of rhythm. And we felt like going into Monroe that we had a chance to get in a little bit of rhythm here for some different reasons. So again, I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic that we can play our best defensive football down this stretch. Obviously as a team, but I think we're in a position to do that. Now, can we go do it with a team that just smacked us in the mouth last year, that was bigger than us, stronger than us, more physical than us? We'll know more this week, but we continue to improve. At the end of the day, that's what this is. Can you continue to improve and can you continue to get better? And I still think we have our best ahead of us. And I don't think everybody in the country can say that. We're in a position to play our best football.
Coach, for the first time, you went up against some big receivers, and you actually pretty much controlled them. In the past, we've had trouble, covering the big guys because of their size. So, what did you do differently in this ball game to make that improvement?
I think there's different caliber of receivers too. I mean, let's be honest. There's big guys, and then there's big guys that are great receivers. It always does come down to matchups. At the end of the day, players win football games and players lose football games. It's always matchups. But certainly we've identified that. I remember standing up here a couple of weeks ago saying the things that, I felt we had to improve on, and definitely playing deep balls is one of them. We practiced this morning again with a 10-minute period of offense against defense, deep balls. We do that every Tuesday now, full speed live, because there's no other way to do it, good against good. So again, there was some really good technique plays. Nias Martin against big number 14 Marcus Kemp made a couple of plays of just really good technique. And, if we don't get the ball thrown over top of us, it's easy to say. And if we don't give up we're creased and there goes the ball down the middle of the field on the run, we got a chance to hang in there and fight and play pretty good defense. So probably not unlike a lot of teams, but I just think we continue to push the point. Those guys didn't get any taller. I mean, Nias, from eating all that pineapple over there, didn't gain an inch or two before the game. So it's how you match up and it's technique. And we're going to continue to get challenged. You look at Nevada's receivers, they are big. Across the board, they are big. And that's something I noticed last year about their team, how big they were, starting with their quarterback. He was bigger than anybody we had on our team. So, I hope I answered your question there.
What was the mix of zone and man approximately?
For us?
Yeah.
I could go back and check exactly. I think we were probably in the 50-50 range. Probably a little bit more man than we had played in the previous couple weeks. Played a lot of zone on third downs, blitzed them a little bit on running RPO kind of downs. So, probably a little bit higher percentage of man than it had been, the San Jose Boise game. You kind of throw Air Force out.
In the big scheme of things, what would it mean for this program to win 4 in a row?
I'm not even gonna go there. There's a lot of what ifs. I go back to, and it still kind of haunts me. Standing here before we played New Mexico State, and there was talk about, beat them 5 straight times, and you'll be the first coach that beat them 5 straight times. And I don't even want to listen or talk or address any of that stuff, particularly because what happened last year in Reno, Nevada was personal. They whipped us. They whipped us. And all that matters right now, not as coach talk, not as trying to, spin something or play mind games. When you get whipped like we got whipped last year, nothing matters other than playing this game this week.
Coach, you're probably going to have 2,000-yard rushers in a single season for the first time ever. What does that say about your offensive line?
Can we write that down right now? You making a statement right? You're guaranteeing me we're going to have 2 1,000-yard rushers, huh? You think we're just automatically on that course that it's going to happen? We're that good.
It's going to happen.
We're that good. Even though we rushed for last year about 200 yards against Nevada, and we still have Utah State and Colorado State and Wyoming. We're going to have 2,000-yard rushers. I'm going to wait. I'll tell you what I'll do, Van. I'll wait until it happens,
Okay.
and then I'll comment on it. Is that fair?
All right, I got your word.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, you started Jordan first half, you brought in Apodaca second half, and without us being able to see the game,
Yeah.
he completed 7 passes for 26 yards. Was that because he was looking long, couldn't find anybody open, and just
Yeah.
dropped it off, or what happened?
Talking about Austin when he came in. Yeah. We really, I think you probably had to see it, and you probably would have sensed the same thing. We jumped up 14-0. And from that point on, they were as multiple as anybody we've seen on defense. And it was the first time playing them and playing the defensive coordinator. He'd come in from Boston College to Hawaii. Every snap, it was basically kind of a different defense. And again, they played the ends wide, made us hand it up in there. We just felt like in the second half, we needed to spread them out just a little bit more. Not that we would abandon the running game, but we felt like some of the run-pass option stuff, getting the ball out in the perimeter, throwing it, was going to be a good way to kind of balance them up a little bit. And it really didn't happen that way, though. When we started the second half, we had a false start to first play. We had an illegal block. We were stumbling around starting the second half. And I think we actually went 25 plays and gained 52 yards in 25 plays. That's how bogged down we were until T.O. had the big run. But it was meant to kind of, at some point we were really having a hard time running it. And we felt like Austin gave us the best chance to maybe do both. We did have some little throws, but nothing of any significance that really mattered. They manned us up on passing downs. We really didn't have much going. We We were searching around. And, this is a big week. This is a big week from that standpoint, too, of, being able to adjust to how people play us. We really had a hard time running the ball on them last year. We really had a hard time, both personnel-wise and schematically. We not only got beat up last year, I don't know that we did our best job coaching up there last year. They made it hard on us on both sides of the ball. I'm not sure who's going to start this week. Honestly, we're practicing this week like it's really kind of back to training camp, particularly at the quarterback position. And there's a lot of urgency on us right now to get better.
Coach, when you go to Hawaii, Honolulu, how tough is it to keep that focus? All the distractions, hula girls, pineapples, whatever. How tough is it?
For me?
You included.
It's easy for me. I'm so tired I just sleep. But
Young player.
I think that's a very valid question. And it was my 4th time coaching over there, and we're 4-0 over there. All 4 times we've gone on Thursday, and we have all Friday to kind of get in sync. I questioned a little bit while we were there because it was such a long time till we played that maybe you're better off going Friday morning early, getting in there like at 1 o'clock on Friday, and then you play the next night if it's particularly a night game. I was thinking maybe we went too early. It's difficult. It is difficult. I think they definitely have a home field advantage in a lot of ways. And again, though, you're not going to get ready for anything in 1 week, ever. you hope that the accumulation of what your message has been to your players over the period I've been head coach is in focus when you go play Hawaii. You know, you're not all of a sudden that week of Hawaii, you're going to change the culture of your program and change the culture of your guys, right? So you hope that just the accumulation of how you do things and the investment that's made in things, kids realize, you know. And I told them, I said, listen, man, you look on this strip, there's a bunch of people over here vacationing, right? I mean, just look, there's thousands of people, this beautiful place. But how many of these people have the opportunity to go play a football game tonight? You're going to have your opportunities to vacation over here. Trust me, right? It's easy now. Travel's easy. How many more opportunities are you going to have to play a football game? And just look at these people. None of them have the opportunity to do what you're going to do. So you're silly to try to do the vacation thing now when you have something that nobody else here has. You know, you have something nobody else can get. So take advantage of that and go play. And, you know, that's how I approach it as a coach, you know. And I talked last week about when I broadcasted. You know, I never went and broadcasted a game of all the great places I went. And I almost forbid myself to enjoy it. It's like, okay, if you enjoy it, you're not going to do a great job coaching. You're not going to do a great job. And that goes back so long. I mean, I was a young assistant at Tulane. I was a defensive coordinator, assistant head coach, I think, at 26 years old. And we went and played Nashville. We went to play Vanderbilt in Nashville. And we didn't play till Saturday night at 8 o'clock. I probably shouldn't be telling this story, but, you know, I kind of ramble on now the older I get. But so I'm 26 years old, and we had a guy on our staff named Kurt Schottenheimer, whose brother was Marty Schottenheimer. Mike Sherman was on our staff, who was the head coach of the Packers and Texas A&M. We had a group of young coaches, all 25, 26, 27 years old, all at Tulane. Friday night before the game, right? I'd never done this. Never since then have I ever done it, broadcasting or playing. We go out, we have some beers, doing what young guys do. Game's not till Saturday night. I felt awful coaching the game the next day. Went out and probably overdid a little bit as a young coach, 26 years old. Not that I drink anyhow, but since that Friday, I've never had a beer, a glass of wine on a Friday night before I broadcasted a game or played or coached a game, ever again. You know, and there's kind of that mentality, and it's probably sick, but if you enjoy it, you're probably not going to have success. So I don't care if you're in Hawaii. We went and played Navy in Dublin, Ireland. It could have been in Dublin, Ohio to me, because you refuse to give in, because if I do it, I haven't made enough of a sacrifice to win. And you guys probably understand that. I mean, and that's how I've operated, and you know, it's probably kind of a sick way to exist, right? Because you don't know that the combination of enjoying things and also having success really works. You know, you got to make a sacrifice to be able to have success. So, not even sure what you asked me, but that's what Henry does, right? Henry gets you going down that path, man. He did that to Muhammad Ali. Did that to Muhammad Ali now.
So, Coach, since Chris Lewis is possible not playing on Saturday, who's going to be the guy that's going to step up in the slot?
Well, Charlie Grammel came in and, you know, played basically the whole game at Hawaii. And then our depth is very thin after that. Tavita Fanua, I think, deserves an opportunity to play. I think Bo Hott deserves an opportunity to play. Darian Allen, and then Raymond Butler would be the next one. Obviously, we're very, very thin at that position.
I would think that Crosby is better suited physically to play that hybrid safety than Rothschild, and yet Jake has started the last 3 games. That matter of consistency.
They play about 50-50. You know, Jake, I think, played 36 plays, and Lee played 35 plays. I think that's...
So it doesn't matter who starts.
It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And, you know, Jake's brother, Kyle, is a walk-on for us that is now a starter on our punt team and maybe a starter on some other special teams. And ironically, you know, he started off at Nevada and transferred here from Nevada. Jake came in as a junior college player. And both those guys are really, really unique guys. They're fun to coach, and they maximize every inch of what they have.
In your experience, Coach, how hard is it the week after coming back from Hawaii to get to players and team to get back into it?
I look at examples. I look at UNLV. UNLV went over this year and beat Hawaii. They haven't won since. They haven't won since. They lost to Colorado State at home the next week, and then they lost to San Jose this week. 4 years ago, you were here when we went over there. 5 years ago, my first year, we beat them over there, and we went to Air Force the next week, which that's a pretty brutal stretch right there. And again, I think we could have beat Air Force. I don't think we really let down or were tired. We just had some guys get hurt. But it's definitely something that we've addressed. We got back, as I mentioned, Sunday morning about 10 o'clock. The coaches came straight in the office, graded the Hawaii tape. We brought the players back at 5 o'clock Sunday. Let them go home and sleep, brought them back at 5 o'clock, kept them till 7:30, watched the entire Hawaii tape, started a little bit on Nevada, and then gave them Monday off so they could sleep in Monday morning. Because I think it kind of catches up with you Monday. So we let them sleep in Monday. Monday was their day off, and then we were back today. And we've cut back just a little bit in how we're practicing because it is real. And going into the month of November with 8 games, I think you have to really, really be smart. And it's something that we definitely have addressed, though, and hopefully have a plan for.
Coach, do you think that Corey feels so much more comfortable? He's really kicking good the last few games. You got to feel a lot better now.
Yeah, Corey Borquez, I think that's a great question. I think a great point. It really turned into a field position game at Hawaii. He punted 6 times, and I think he averaged about 45 yards a punt. The next thing is to get a little more placement on his punts. But he did kick backed up. He did kick into the wind. He did kick when it was raining. And he is getting much more consistent. The next thing, as I said, is just not kicking that ball just right down the middle of the field, but some placement things. But it's encouraging. Yeah, he's getting better, and he does seem a little more comfortable and confident. And again, he is in some ways like Jason Sanders in that he can be a weapon. He has a lot of talent.
What about Lily too? Is he going to be taking punts from now on?
We're working him. He's definitely the kickoff guy. Chris Davis has done a really good job making decisions and catching the ball. Obviously, Lily gives you the break one. We're working that. It's still Chris Davis, though.
I really meant the kickoffs anyway, bro. I didn't mean the punts.
Pardon me?
I really meant, I said punts, but with Lily and the kickoffs, I was.
Yeah, but he is back there on punts as well. In fact, we put him back there against Monroe when we went 2 deep with he and Chris Davis both back there, and we're working him in towards being the guy. But Chris Davis is a guy that we really trust right now.
It seemed like he's just never afraid to, I don't know if it worries you sometimes about calling for a fair catch, Chris. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and again, coming off the Monroe game, that guy was killing it now. He kicked it up out of those lights, And the same thing, Hawaii. Hawaii had a very good punter, kicker. He was the same guy. We've played some guys that can boom it. The kid from San Jose was unbelievable. So, the first thing is to get the ball back. Get the ball back for us.
Anything else? Have you ever seen all your years coaching, broadcasting, where one team has 2 guys at the top of an offensive category like the Lobos do with T.O. and Gibson yards per carry in FBS? It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know. Just like there was another stat, we've played 8 games and lost the coin flip 8 times? I didn't know that till last night. Know that till last night, so that's what you guys get paid the big bucks for, man, to dig into all those statistics, which a lot of times are kind of interesting, but they don't mean a hell of a lot now, let's be honest, right? Now, I'm waiting for the boom to come down, right?
Yeah. Looking at common opponents, we beat both San Jose, Fresno, and Hawaii. So if you compare the common opponents, we defeated both of them. They split, Nevada did. Also, Nevada's just 3-5. So I know it's personal, and you want to get back at them from last year, but are they the same team as they are this year?
Absolutely, they're the same team. I went through who all is back for them. And they have a quarterback that they think is probably better for them long-term than the guy that was starting, who I thought was a heck of a player. So none of that matters. You know, you start playing the common opponent game and that whole thing. You wouldn't have to play the game if we just did that. Let's make it all just a fantasy football league where we kind of put points for this team beat that team. And we beat Air Force at the time, who Air Force beat Navy, and Navy beat Houston. So, man, we should have been number 4 in the nation at that point, but we had 3 losses. And now, you know, I mean, we all know what it is. You know, it's guys matching up against guys. And most of their guys from last year are the same guys. So, again, I know what our team is. I got a pretty good feel for what their team is. And this is a big challenge for us.
Are you getting any help, or did you get help from some of the teams that defeated Nevada already this year, like maybe Notre Dame, Purdue? Any of those people helping you out to crack the Nevada code?
Pretty good schedule, huh? You think about a Mountain West Conference going to the state of Indiana to play at Notre Dame and at Purdue in September. As we do with all teams, we have every video. We have every video broken down. I don't do much calling and exchanging information and talking on the phone. Pretty much I like to see it, watch it, try to make my own decisions. And I don't think as much of that goes on in coaching as you think. I think it's most teams do what they need to do based on their personnel and how they match up. But, yeah, I mean, you get 8 games into the season, you kind of who you are, and they are who they are. So it's getting your guys to play the absolute best, and no phone call is going to help your team do that. You know, it's you coaching your guys when they're here in this building is the most important thing. All right, man. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.